I'm going to read through page 94. As I read through page 94 on your photocopy of the textbook, follow the words with your finger. As I go through, I may ask you to give the meanings of certain words, in which case you should draw an arrow to the word and then write your definition next to it. Or I may ask you to highlight or underline things within the text. Let us start making the changes. 1. The Protestant reformers. In the early 16th century, many people were criticising the Roman Catholic Church. Soon, huge changes were taking place. Europe had never seen anything like it before. Of course, many people had been criticising the Roman Catholic Church for some time. There was nothing new in that. But now, some very inspiring leaders started to gain large followings. These leaders are called reformers. The changes are called the Reformation. Two of the most important reformers were Martin Luther and John Calvin. People who followed Luther and Calvin were protesting about what they thought was wrong with the church. The things that Luther and Calvin taught were very shocking. The Roman Catholic Church taught the priests were necessary to find God, and that the only head of the church was the Pope. Now, I would like you to go back to the word inspiring. In the second paragraph, it's on the 1, 2, 3, 4th line, third word in. I'd like you to draw an arrow to the word inspiring, and I'd like you to give your own definition of it. Write that definition on your photocopy of the textbook. Pause this and do it now. Right, I hope you've given your definition of inspiring. The definition that I think of is someone who encourages and motivates others to follow their lead. Also, I would like you, in the second paragraph, to find where it talks about the beliefs of the Roman Catholics. I'd like you to underline this. Pause now. Fantastic. Hopefully you've underlined the beliefs of the Roman Catholics that you found. Let us continue reading. Martin Luther began his protest against the Roman Catholic Church in 1517. Here are some of the things that he taught. Believing in Jesus Christ is the only way to gain God's forgiveness. Believing in Jesus Christ is more important than going to Mass or making pilgrimages. Before we read on, you should give the definition of Mass and making pilgrimages. I will tell you what this is now. So, Mass. This is the Catholic Church service where Catholics take bread and wine. It's to remember the Last Supper that Jesus had. Catholics believe that actually the bread and the wine really do turn into Jesus. And that to Catholics it's really important that they have this ceremony once a week at church. As you see, Luther believes that believing in Christ is more important than that. So write down what Mass is, which is a church service where they have bread and wine. That's the Catholics. Also, a pilgrimage. A pilgrimage is where people go off to a holy site. Roman Catholics would go off to places where saints' bones were, so they could go there and pray. They believed this would help them to go to heaven quicker. Pause now and give the definitions of Mass and pilgrimages. Let us continue. Ordinary people should read the Bible for themselves in their own language. Ordinary people do not need priests to find God. The ruler of each country should be the head of the church, not the Pope. Church services should be very simple. No crosses, candles, pictures or robes. The bread and wine are just symbols. They do not change into Jesus' body and blood. Ordinary people should read the Bible for themselves, in their own language. There should be no priests at all. Members of each congregation should elect their own minister or presbyter. What we've just read through, the last four, starting with church services, should be very simple. Those are all the ideas of John Calvin. John Calvin spread his new ideas in Switzerland in the 1530s. He went even further than Luther. His ideas were more extreme. Here are some of the things that he taught, and we've read through those four. This is the end of this podcast.